Yeah, if you're in the developer track, that basically means that you came here to learn, you're a builder, you want to innovate something, you're probably pushing Zoho products that you're using to the limits. Every kind of developer creation aspect is around usually these kind of like four main aspects. You want to build something, automate something, integrate something generally, but it's all around innovation ultimately. And I think over the past, let's say 5, 7 years, there's been the big push for like digital transformation, generally considered a buzzword. I think there was a big push during like 2020, 2021 during COVID about like everything's going to go digital and we're all going to work from wherever we want to. And then reality came back and then realized people might need to go to the office and paper processes or automation kind of fell off. And I think, especially over the past couple of years with AI and stuff like that, everybody could agree that technology is evolving pretty rapidly, right? And the biggest problem is keeping up. There's so much new stuff, especially in the world of AI, that's coming up that makes it really challenging because there's a new model or a new app or a new wrapper or a new functionality or a new prompting guide or something coming up all the time. So in the Zoho world and really in the general like software world, there's these, I would say, like a little bit cliche terms now of no code, low code, and pro code. And it's really just the different levels of customization and capabilities you get. On the no code side of things, generally drag and drop, point and click, adding a field, sending a notification email, things like that. What the sales and marketing and simpletons kind of do is all on the no code side of things. On the low code side of things, it's somewhere in the middle. You want to drag and drop for like some level of productivity and to move fast and build things quickly. But for that last mile customization of like an advanced workflow that might calculate, I don't know, margins on a sale that you made based on like cost of goods sold and the invoice price, do some math and then maybe break off like a commission calculator too. A little bit of intelligence is required there. That'd be low code, probably using Delusion or scripting language and be able to build those kind of workflows. And on the pro code side of things, when you need something truly custom, you want full control. And as you can imagine, the easier it is to build something, the less control you have. The more complicated it is to build something, it'll take longer, but you have a lot more control. So you just got to figure out what is the right tool for the right job, which I'll touch on a little bit at the end. Uh, what most people are probably starting out with is extending a point product. So client scripts is a relatively new feature in the CRM world where whenever like you're creating a new record, you want to be able to have some like automation happen, pre-populating a field, doing a calculation, maybe making something mandatory, asking for additional information. It's basically just a front end to add more logic and validation to like the creation of records. Custom functions, most people raise their hand in here already. It's basically some action happens in the CRM or really any point product. And I think almost most Zoho products, probably like 80% of Zoho products support custom functions at this point, which just means some action happens in that product. We're going to fire off a deluge script that's going to do something. And then the last thing is widgets. It's a custom interface that you can build and design interfaces that are living within a record of a CRM. If extending the point product isn't going to give you the functionality that you need, you got to actually create something from scratch. That's kind of where low code solutions generally tend to come from. In the Zoho world, our low code, I guess like pioneer really is in the creator world. A lot of people raise their hand on building creator apps in here. Creator is a relatively simple way to build uh, applications to track processes or inventory or data or organize information, visualize things. But usually the go-to tool for creating things fast and quick. I highly recommend starting at the creator point and then moving up into the more pro code tools if the need requires. In the creator world, you get the drag and drop benefits of like no code stuff. You get the deluge, so you get like a little bit of low code aspects, and you can also add widgets and things like that to make it a little bit better. But ultimately, you're making custom apps, and these custom apps, the next session will go over creator and a lot of the AI stuff too. But a lot of people think of custom apps kind of like a true, like maybe like an ERP for their organization, but an easy way to use custom apps and get quick wins, for especially for all the Zoho One customers here, is you can make small apps. I highly recommend people who want to like learn and get started in the creator world or just like building is um, personal projects are always helpful. When new people join on the team, I usually have them build apps that are like, I guess it's kind of outdated now, but like a DVD catalog for your house. Keep track of like titles, directors, release dates, watch status, stuff like that, and just like a logging system. A lot of people at the office use like a custom app for tracking like gym workouts and weight and stuff like that, like everything they're tracking health wise. Sometimes personal, non-business related applications are a good way to learn the software because you're actually interested in it. Nobody wants to create like a procurement management process that's not interesting. Uh, and so fun things is helpful. I think like one of the ways I really got started with Creator was my sister got married, I think like a couple years after I joined Zoho, and I made like an app for like RSVPing. And if you're not familiar with like Indian weddings, there is an unnecessary amount of events. Some people get invited to all the events. Some people, two people to event, no kids, whatever it is, and not a lot of like back then at least, not a lot of RSVP systems, whatever, like wedding RSVP sites, the Knot or whatever. They didn't really have like complicated things because they focused on like normal weddings that were not so logic heavy. So I built like an app for like managing RSVPs, texting people to show up on time. Also, Indian people never show up on time, so you got to like send a lot of notifications. And so it was a really good like learning experience. That's, I wouldn't say interesting because my sister made me do it, but it was a learning experience nonetheless. Um, and then I think the first work thing I made was like a potluck app. But for a potluck, obviously, like, what do most people do? They make a spreadsheet, you write your name down, what am I gonna bring? Bread, cranberry sauce, something simple and easy. And then 3 people bring bread, and no one brings, like, mac and cheese. And so, we had, like, an app that was used in the office because the first time we did a potluck for Thanksgiving, it didn't go very well. And so, we need, like, a better system, so you put your name in, you, like, say what you're gonna bring, it'll tell you if you're allowed to actually bring that item or not, if it's based on, like, other people are bringing it. Some people bring like 1 can of cranberry sauce for like 30 people. I don't know who raised them, but you should have like the right serving size. So all those kinds of like validations were put in place that we used for a couple years. So sometimes fun, small projects is really how you actually learn to build things and find interest in it. But the go-to tool for building something from scratch. Integrations is obviously a big thing. Flow users, a lot of people raise their hand already on Flow. We'll have a session on Flow this afternoon. Flow and RPA. RPA is a relatively new thing. I didn't ask if people are using it. Anybody using RPA? Anybody know what RPA is? Anybody want to say what RPA is? Robotic process automation. Yes. It was the thing that was supposed to replace humans before AI came. Uh, just a way to like automate a bunch of actions on a desktop. Sometimes you have like some really terrible software that's like on your computer that your company makes you use, and there's like no programmatic way to access data or integrate it with third-party systems. So rather than having a human do a bunch of data entry, copying and pasting from one thing to the other, you basically can have an RPA system, kind of open a spreadsheet, pull some data out of that spreadsheet, post it into a CRM or somewhere else, do some math logic. It's a very powerful system. So between that and Flow, you can kind of build these like complex integrations between multiple products. A bunch of connections are pre-made. Then those are the more simple ones. Flow, Creator, a lot of point and click, a little bit of low code with Deluge. You can create some like custom logic, but sometimes you hit your limits with both those products. That's where cloud computing comes in. So we have this thing called Catalyst. See, Catalyst is like the most technical product we make, which means usually the most smartest people use them, which also means the least social people. But Catalyst is like the last stop when nothing in Zoho can do what you need it to do. You can build it from scratch in Catalyst. A lot of people will face limits of like uh, doing like a bulk import, or you get like data from some weird service and it dumps it in a file. You can use like RPA plus Catalyst, have it process all that information, clean it up even, and then push it off to wherever system you want to. So you can build apps there, you can build microservices. Sometimes Deluge doesn't do exactly what you need it to do. So maybe you need to run a cloud function, execute it in Catalyst, and then have that data go back to CRM or Desk or Creator, wherever you need it to go. So the last stop, nobody should ever tell you that something is not possible in Zoho, because Catalyst and between Creator and any of the developer tools, something should be possible. Then you have pro code services. There are what we call pro code services, which is generally more technical, not used by like people just making simple creator apps and stuff like that for the most part. There's like testing automation. So when you make things that are bad, or you got to make sure that they're not broken, you can have like automated testing. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. You can have transactional emails be sent. So kind of like a send grid. You send emails for whenever somebody completes an action or a payment is made or a login is reset. You can track that email, open rates, bounce rates, all that kind of stuff, programmatic email. And the last one is Apptics. So like you have a mobile app or a web app, you want to track how many times it's crashing, what kind of reviews you're getting, maybe send some push notifications for marketing, all that kind of stuff around like creation of it. So if you're building custom web or mobile apps, that session's for you. If you're not building custom web or mobile apps like from scratch or anything like that, and you're more on the creator flow, I need some point and click in my life, then that session might be a little bit over your head, but still good to know to learn about stuff. bunch of things, as I mentioned, in the Zoho world. We obviously make an insane amount of stuff. There's a lot of overlap here and there. Some features are better in one product than the other. It's kind of hard to navigate it all. And just generally in the world, there's obviously a lot of software tools out there that can do the job you need it to do. And picking the right tool is probably the most important thing, because picking the wrong tool will cause you a lot of headaches. The number one problem I feel like people generally tend to find or face is they don't actually they're not honest with themselves about the problem's complexity. They think about it in today's current state, but not where's the evolution of this process or problem that I'm trying to solve going to be. And so sometimes you might volunteer like, oh yeah, that should be quick. I'll just whip it together. And then, 3 days later, you want to like blow your brains out. Uh, and so if you start with, let's say, something that's going to be very simple and you think it's going to be overly complex, you miscoped it and you thought it was, more difficult than it was. So you start building something in Catalyst and you realize I could have built this whole thing in Creator first. Or maybe you needed to have something that was simple, like a flow to integrate two things, but instead you're writing some kind of a cron job running somewhere that's firing off API calls and being super complicated. Technical skills shouldn't really be a concern because everyone in here is smart. The speed, like I talked about before in that low code to pro code side of things, the less control you have, the faster you can deliver things. How fast that solution need to be there, how pixel perfect does it need to be? Is it just something we're whipping together just to solve a quick problem, like maybe for Zoholics, we're keeping track of like distributing t-shirts for people. Quick, dirty, doesn't really, not like super important. But if it's something more important, like managing all of the employees' travel, hotels, logistics, communication, session reviews, all that kind of stuff, that might be a little bit more intense, and I'd pick a different tool for it. Integration requirements, obviously, and scalability concerns, not really a big deal. So the last thing I'll talk about a little bit is kind of putting things together. So I talked in the creator sense a little bit earlier about like these custom apps that you can do to build stuff. Most apps of any kind, or any Zoho software, or any software you use in general, there's always some level of a database, so information needs to be stored somewhere. Social apps, web apps, mobile apps, business apps, doesn't matter. It's all usually foundation is on some data that needs to be stored and organized. Um, and then once you have that data stored and organized, you obviously want to get some insights from it. You need to do some reporting. And then you probably need to create some workflows or automation, something that happens in the background whenever an action gets fired off. And the last piece is maybe you need to integrate it with something as well, right? So you have a couple pieces, they all kind of fit together, and you put these pieces together. Ultimately, you get like a custom app, right? It's a combination of these four things. And obviously, the advantage of us making an insane amount of stuff is that not just one tool, but each tool works together. So a creator app can connect to a flow, and a flow can connect to Catalyst, and Catalyst can fire off things in Apptics, and Apptics can fire off things back in CRM, so you can market to them, to marketing automation. It's all kind of just coming and going. When we make an integration, we have to think of like the lowest common denominator. What is going to work for the vast majority of people, not what works for John's pool shop, right? That's like, we don't care about John and his pools. Like, that's not what we're building for. We're building for the biggest addressable market for the most part, which means that integration is going to be the baseline, but whatever works best for your organization, you're going to need to tweak, either extend it, build it yourself and rebuild maybe an integration that we offer out of the box that works better for your organization. Uh, and so that's totally fine to do as well. And so when you connect all these things together from custom low code apps, drag and drop, point and click in Creator, maybe you need to add some Catalyst functionality and have like some advanced scripting happening, automation testing, all these things kind of connect to each other. But truly, any solution could be a combination of any of these pieces. Sometimes you have just an integration. So just that yellow is all I'm building. A single headless integration that sends data from one place to another place. That's a solution. A solution could be integration plus insights. Maybe you're integrating stuff and sending it over to analytics and having some dashboards there. So it's not that all of these need to be used together all the time, but it goes back to picking the right tool and figuring out which one is available, or like which ones work best together. But they all fit together and they'll hopefully solve the job. So the point of AI really, uh, not to take jobs or take over the world, is around making things easier. I think a lot of people probably read a lot on maybe like the evolution of where things are going. We see a lot of solutions on like you type in a box and something gets created, right? Everyone thinks that's like magic. The idea of AI is to make things a little bit easier, less pieces you got to build, automate a little bit, get started. And it's not really going to replace developers or builders or anybody. It's going to empower them to be more productive. But with obviously great power comes great responsibility. This was supposed to be Spider-Man. It ended up being a spider and a man. That was not what was expected, but it shows that the intent was right, but the actual execution was a little bit off. But all of these AI functionalities that are baked through all of our products and what you're going to see through competitor products or any solutions in the marketplace, I kind of put them in a couple of these buckets. Uh, I use generate instead of like build or create, because anything you like start with, like I said, typing in a box and creating some component, making an application, creating a flow, well, it's really just a starting point. Whatever you type in that box, you're going to have to fix and complete it and tweak it that last 5, 10, 20% to meet exactly what you need. Don't really ever expect that box to do 100% what you want. Maybe today it doesn't, maybe tomorrow it will, but right now you're kind of just getting started, usually meant to solve kind of like what they call like the blank page problem. You got to write an essay and you're just staring at this Word document, hopefully a Zoho writer document, and there's no words on there. So you got to like start your essay. Nobody likes that. So it's the jumping off point. The second piece is around refinement. So you build something. Did I build something well? Is there an area of optimization around it? Can it be made easier, simpler? Uh, I need to add a new module or add a new functionality. So extending something you already built is kind of around refinement. Then there's the interpretation aspect. This is kind of where a lot of AI stuff was before, I think, the rise of LLMs. It was around like data analysis, anomaly detection, trend analysis, forecasting. That was like all like ML data analysis kind of things. So that's there still. So whenever you have data in like your CRM or in a creator app or wherever it is, you want to get some insights on there, figure out if something is wacky. Maybe somebody placed an order that's, I don't know, 100 times a normal order size. You don't want to write a workflow that says, if an order is over 100 times the average order size, send me an email. But you want the system kind of detect those kinds of weird things automatically. So that's around like interpreting, being able to drive insights from the data that's already there, but also some sort of like automated engagement or suggestions on how to make things better. And then ultimately, with those insights you kind of generated, you want to evolve, make new changes, get new ideas, build, build, build.